Top 25 Compliance Officer Interview Questions and Answers. In the competitive field of compliance, preparing for an interview is essential for success. This video will highlight the top 25 questions commonly asked of compliance officers, along with well-crafted answers to help candidates shine. Understanding these questions can significantly enhance your confidence and readiness. We will provide insights into what employers look for and tips on how to articulate your experience and skills effectively during the interview process. 1. Can you describe your experience in compliance and regulatory affairs? I have spent several years working in compliance and regulatory affairs across various industries, including healthcare and finance. My experience encompasses developing compliance programs, conducting risk assessments, and ensuring adherence to regulations such as GDPR and HIPAA. I have collaborated with cross-functional teams to implement policies and training initiatives, fostering a culture of compliance. My role also involved monitoring regulatory changes and adapting company practices accordingly, ensuring that all departments understand and align with compliance requirements. My proactive approach has helped mitigate risks and enhance operational integrity. 2. What compliance frameworks and regulations are you most familiar with, for example, GDPR, HIPAA, SOX? I am familiar with various compliance frameworks and regulations, including GDPR, HIPAA, and SOX. GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, emphasizes data protection and privacy for individuals within the EU, requiring organizations to implement strict data handling practices. HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, governs the protection of sensitive patient information in the healthcare sector. SOX, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, sets standards for financial reporting and corporate governance. I have experience applying these frameworks in practice, ensuring that organizations meet legal requirements while fostering a culture of compliance. 3. How do you stay up to date with regulatory changes? Staying current with regulatory changes requires a proactive approach. I regularly subscribe to industry newsletters and follow key regulatory bodies on social media. Attending relevant webinars and conferences allows me to engage with experts and gain insights into upcoming changes. Networking with professionals in compliance and regulatory affairs also provides valuable information. Additionally, I participate in professional organizations that focus on compliance, ensuring I have access to the latest developments and best practices in the field. This multifaceted strategy helps me maintain a well-rounded perspective on compliance issues. 4. Have you ever developed or improved a compliance program? Tell us about it. Yes, I had the opportunity to improve a compliance program at my previous organization. We faced challenges with adherence to regulations, leading to potential risks. I initiated a comprehensive review of existing policies and identified gaps. Collaborating with various departments, I developed a streamlined training program that focused on key compliance areas. I also implemented regular audits and feedback mechanisms to ensure ongoing improvement. This initiative not only enhanced compliance but also fostered a culture of accountability and transparency within the organization. 5. How do you ensure all departments are aligned with compliance policies? To ensure all departments align with compliance policies, I implement regular training sessions tailored to each department's specific needs. Communication is key. I establish clear channels for sharing updates on compliance regulations and policies. I also develop a compliance calendar that outlines important deadlines and activities, ensuring all teams are aware of their responsibilities. Additionally, I collaborate with department heads to integrate compliance objectives into their operational goals, fostering a culture where compliance is seen as a shared responsibility rather than just an obligation. Regular audits and feedback loops help to identify areas for improvement. 6. Describe a time you identified a compliance risk. How did you handle it? During a routine audit, I discovered discrepancies in our data handling processes that posed a potential compliance risk with GDPR regulations. I immediately escalated the issue to my supervisor and assembled a cross-functional team to investigate. We conducted a thorough analysis to identify the root cause, which was a lack of staff training on data privacy protocols. I developed a targeted training program to address these gaps and implemented new monitoring processes to ensure ongoing compliance. After the training, we saw a marked improvement in adherence to data protection practices. 7. Tell me about a situation where you had to report non-compliance to senior management. In a previous role, I discovered a significant data handling issue that violated GDPR regulations. After conducting a thorough investigation, I gathered all relevant data and evidence to present a clear picture of the non-compliance. I scheduled a meeting with senior management, emphasizing the potential risks and implications for the organization. During the discussion, I proposed actionable steps to address the issue and prevent future occurrences. Management appreciated the transparency and took immediate action, which reinforced the importance of compliance across the organization. 8. How do you handle conflicts between business objectives and compliance requirements? Handling conflicts between business objectives and compliance requirements involves a balanced approach. First, I engage stakeholders to understand their goals and discuss compliance implications. I emphasize the importance of compliance to protect the organization's reputation and prevent legal issues. Collaborating with teams, I identify creative solutions that align business needs with regulatory requirements. If a compromise isn't achievable, I provide data-driven insights to support compliance decisions, ensuring that the business understands the potential risks of non-compliance. Providing training helps foster a culture that values both compliance and business success. 9. Describe a time you trained staff on compliance. What approach did you take? Training staff on compliance is pivotal for fostering a culture of adherence. In a recent initiative, I developed a comprehensive workshop that combined interactive elements with practical case studies. This approach encouraged engagement and allowed participants to apply theoretical knowledge to real-life scenarios. I used role-playing exercises to illustrate compliance challenges, facilitating open discussions about best practices. Feedback was gathered post-training to assess effectiveness and areas for improvement, ensuring that future sessions were tailored to meet the specific needs of the team while reinforcing the importance of compliance in daily operations. 10. How do you handle resistance from employees or management regarding compliance measures? When facing resistance from employees or management regarding compliance measures, I prioritize open communication. I strive to understand the root causes of their concerns, whether they stem from misunderstandings, perceived burdens, or a lack of awareness. By providing clear explanations of the compliance requirements and their importance, I aim to foster buy-in. Engaging them in discussions and incorporating their feedback can also help in making the measures more acceptable. Additionally, I offer training sessions to ensure everyone understands the benefits of compliance, aiming to create a culture that values compliance as a shared responsibility. 11. What are the key elements of an effective compliance program? An effective compliance program typically includes several key elements. First, it requires a clear set of policies and procedures that are well documented and accessible to all staff. Second, regular training and communication ensure that employees understand their compliance obligations. Third, strong leadership commitment is crucial, as it sets the tone from the top and reinforces the importance of compliance. Additionally, an effective program includes ongoing monitoring and auditing processes to assess compliance risks, identify areas for improvement, and ensure adherence to regulations. Finally, a mechanism for reporting violations and addressing concerns is essential to maintain accountability and transparency. 12. How do you conduct a compliance risk assessment? Conducting a compliance risk assessment involves several key steps. First, I identify and categorize the relevant regulations and compliance requirements applicable to the organization. Next, I gather data through surveys, interviews, and document reviews to pinpoint areas of potential risk. After that, I evaluate the likelihood and impact of identified risks, prioritizing them based on their severity. Finally, I develop a risk mitigation plan that outlines necessary actions, assigns responsibilities, and establishes timelines for monitoring and reassessment. This systematic approach ensures thorough coverage and enhances the organization's compliance posture. 13. What's your process for internal compliance audits? Internal compliance audits begin with defining the scope and objectives of the audit, ensuring alignment with relevant regulations and company policies. Next, I conduct a risk assessment to prioritize areas needing attention. I gather data through document reviews, interviews, and observations, followed by a thorough analysis to identify gaps. Upon completion, I compile findings into a report detailing compliance status, risks identified, and recommendations for improvement. Finally, I present this report to senior management and collaborate on action plans, ensuring timely follow-up on corrective measures to enhance compliance frameworks. 14. How do you document and track compliance violations? Documenting and tracking compliance violations involves a systematic approach. First, establish a centralized reporting system where employees can easily submit violations. Each report should include details such as the nature of the violation, date, time, and individuals involved. Utilize compliance management software to log incidents, categorize them, and assign responsibility for follow-up. Regularly review these logs to identify patterns or recurring issues. Additionally, ensure proper documentation is maintained, including investigation findings and corrective actions taken, which aids in transparency and accountability. 15. How do you manage third-party, vendor compliance? Managing third-party or vendor compliance involves a systematic approach. First, I assess the compliance risks associated with each vendor based on their industry and the services they provide. I ensure that all vendors are aware of our compliance standards and expectations by incorporating compliance requirements into contracts. Regular audits and assessments are conducted to monitor their adherence. I also establish clear communication channels for reporting compliance issues. Training and resources are provided to help vendors understand our compliance culture, ensuring alignment and minimizing risks. 16. How do you develop and update compliance policies and procedures? To develop and update compliance policies and procedures, I begin by conducting a thorough assessment of existing regulations and organizational needs. Engaging stakeholders from different departments ensures that policies are practical and relevant. I prioritize clarity and accessibility in documentation, using straightforward language and structured formats. Regular training sessions keep employees informed about changes. Additionally, I establish a review schedule, allowing for periodic evaluations and updates based on emerging regulations or organizational changes. Feedback from staff is also vital for continuous improvement. 17. What metrics or KPIs do you use to monitor compliance performance? To monitor compliance performance, I utilize a range of metrics and KPIs. Key metrics include the number of compliance training sessions completed, percentage of employees trained on key policies, and the frequency of compliance audits conducted. I also track the number of reported compliance incidents and their resolution time. Additionally, measuring the results of employee feedback surveys on compliance culture can provide insights into engagement levels. By analyzing these metrics, I can identify trends, areas for improvement, and ensure that compliance initiatives align with organizational goals. 18. How do you report compliance issues to regulatory bodies? Reporting compliance issues involves a systematic approach. First, gather all relevant information and documentation regarding the issue. This includes details on the nature of the compliance breach, affected parties, and potential consequences. Next, assess the severity and implications of the issue to determine the appropriate reporting timeline. After that, prepare a formal report outlining the findings and submit it to the designated regulatory body, ensuring adherence to their specific reporting requirements. Follow up as necessary and maintain open communication with the regulatory agency throughout the process. 19. What steps would you take during a regulatory inspection? During a regulatory inspection, I would begin by reviewing relevant documentation, ensuring all compliance records are up to date and accessible. I would assemble a team of key personnel, including compliance officers and department heads, to be present during the inspection. It's important to designate a primary point of contact for inspectors. I would organize a pre-inspection meeting to clarify roles and responsibilities. Throughout the inspection, I would maintain open communication with inspectors, providing requested information promptly and addressing any questions. Finally, I would document the inspection process and outcomes to inform future improvements. 20. How do you ensure data privacy and protection compliance? Ensuring data privacy and protection compliance involves implementing robust policies and procedures that align with relevant regulations such as GDPR and CCPA. Regular risk assessments are conducted to identify vulnerabilities and data handling practices are routinely reviewed. Training sessions for employees are essential to raise awareness about data protection. Additionally, establishing a dedicated team to monitor compliance and manage data breaches ensures swift action when necessary. Regular audits and updates to policies based on regulatory changes help maintain compliance and protect sensitive information effectively. 21. Describe a situation where you had to make an ethical decision under pressure. In a previous role, I faced a situation where a senior manager requested that I overlook a minor compliance violation to meet a critical deadline. The pressure was intense, as the project was pivotal for the company's growth. I took a moment to assess the implications of ignoring the violation, recognizing that it could lead to larger repercussions. Instead of complying, I explained the potential risks to the manager and proposed alternative solutions that adhered to compliance standards. This approach ultimately safeguarded our integrity while allowing us to meet our objectives responsibly. 22. How would you handle whistleblower reports or anonymous complaints? Handling whistleblower reports or anonymous complaints requires a structured approach. First, I would ensure confidentiality and protect the whistleblower from retaliation, establishing a safe environment for reporting. I would initiate an investigation promptly, gathering facts while remaining impartial. Engaging legal counsel may be necessary to ensure compliance with regulations. After assessing the findings, I would take appropriate actions, which could include implementing corrective measures or reporting to senior management. Finally, I would communicate the resolution process to the whistleblower, maintaining transparency while respecting privacy. 23. What's your approach to fostering a culture of compliance and integrity? Creating a culture of compliance and integrity starts with leadership commitment. It's essential to communicate the importance of compliance through training sessions, regular updates, and open discussions. Encouraging employees to voice concerns without fear of retaliation fosters trust. Establishing clear policies and making them accessible ensures everyone understands expectations. Recognizing and rewarding compliance-driven behavior can also reinforce the desired culture. Regularly assessing and updating training programs ensures they remain relevant, addressing new challenges and reinforcing the organization's commitment to ethical practices. 24. How do you evaluate the effectiveness of a compliance training program? To evaluate the effectiveness of a compliance training program, I employ a multifaceted approach. First, I assess pre- and post-training knowledge through quizzes to measure knowledge retention. Second, I gather feedback from participants to understand their perceptions of the training's relevance and clarity. Third, I analyze compliance metrics, such as incident reports or audit findings, to identify any changes in behavior post-training. Finally, I conduct follow-up sessions to reinforce training concepts and ensure ongoing compliance awareness throughout the organization. 25. What's the biggest compliance challenge you faced, and how did you overcome it? One significant compliance challenge involved adapting our policies to meet new regulations that were implemented unexpectedly. This required a comprehensive review and update of existing procedures. I initiated a cross-departmental task force to assess the implications of the changes and gather input from various teams. We conducted training sessions to ensure everyone understood the new requirements. By fostering open communication and collaboration, we not only met compliance deadlines but also created a more robust compliance culture within the organization, ultimately enhancing our operational resilience. As we wrap up our exploration of the top 25 compliance officer interview questions and answers, we hope you feel more equipped to tackle your upcoming interviews. Understanding these key questions can enhance your confidence and performance, helping you to stand out as a strong candidate. Remember, preparation is vital in showcasing your expertise and fit for the role. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights and tips in the future. Your support means a lot to us.